All right, guys. Today is CPI inflation data, the big day of the week. Most people have been waiting on outside of the labor report. We got CPI inflation data going live at 8:30. I think I spelled it wrong on my scroller here. What did I say? I said, there we go, inflation. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's expected at 3.1% year over year for headline CPI, 0.3% month over month for headline CPI. Core year over year is expected at, I believe, 3%, and month over month both expected at 0.3. So that drops at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time today. We also have the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index going live at 8:30 as well. It's expected at 2.5. We've got jobless claims. Jobless claims unemployment expected at 224. Last time, I believe they showed up much higher than expected at 236K. So jobless claims a little bit higher. Hasn't been as good. Yesterday, we did get some big drops in markets. If you look at it, we're kind of running back up here. But yesterday, the NASDAQ dropped all the way down under 25,000 for a little while. We're back over 25K now, but we're only at 25,100. Q was at 605s, and again, you can kind of see the same dynamic here. We dropped a lot yesterday. Basically, all day we dropped yesterday. All the way down to $600 level on the Q. The SPY dropped all the way down yesterday to 670s. You can see NVIDIA is currently sitting around 173, but it did dip all the way down to that 170 level again. That 170 level still acting like support here for NVIDIA right here, I think. So I'm watching 170 for sure. What's up, One Set? What's up, Anti-War? Tiny Wolf. Yeah, it's 65 degrees in Houston this morning. Amazon up a little bit today. And so again, we get the inflation report, the first inflation read since the shutdown. Actually, that's not true. Why just told me that? That's not true at all. We got an inflation report during the shutdown. We got the October report. No. We got the September report in October. But again, 3 to 3.1% year over year is basically what they're expecting for inflation. Markets are treating today's as kind of like a test for whether we're going to get another cut in 2026. We get lower data, we might get another cut, one more cut than expected in 2026. We get higher data today. It's going to push back the odds for January as well as the future of 2026 in terms of rate cuts and guidance there. A hot print could change the path of the Fed, and we'll see what happens. But the NASDAQ and the S&P are mostly green. Semiconductors, Micron beat earnings, strong guidance. Tech trying to rebound from this week's AI and chip sell-off. If you look at Micron here, MU, they did have earnings. They're up big from their earnings report. They opened up at they closed yesterday at 225. They were at 257 right now for MU. Very large move for MU. That's helping some tech this morning. But again, we dropped a lot yesterday. We really did drop a lot yesterday. Crypto remains in fear but not panic mode. Still sitting at 87K, so it's doing all right there. ETFs are still seeing inflows, and everyone is watching that 80,000 support level, I think. Yeah, let's see what we get today. Let's do a poll. Does today's CPI year over year inflation show higher or lower than the 3% expected? And do ads expected as an option as well. Here you go. So here's the poll. Does today's CPI year over year inflation? Today's CPI inflation year over year show higher or lower here, guys? Let me know what you expect. There's the poll. It's not live. You can vote on it. Yeah, I mean, we're up a lot. NVIDIA's up. MU is up from earnings, but we're still down in the last 24 hours. Like, you got to understand, like, this is the move this morning. Again, NASDAQ's back up to 25,100 here. But if you zoom back a little bit, we opened the day yesterday at about 25.5. A little bit under 25.5, but still. So yesterday, like, look at these levels were not this close together yesterday. We just had such a steep move that they're kind of more consolidated. But yeah, we opened the day around 25.5. We are now back. We fell all the way down in the NASDAQ yesterday 24 eights. And then we popped back up to 25 ones, but we're still net down $400 in the NQ. We're still net down on the SPY in the last 24 hours on the NASDAQ. So it'll be an interesting day, especially with all the data we have coming out at 8:30. It'll be interesting for sure. Draw some levels here. Might be relevant. There's 500. There's 25K. Yeah, we'll look at these levels, but man, lower is better for inflation. Almost universally. Like sometimes the labor market can have a good as bad and a bad as bad scenario, but in regards to inflation, lower is almost always better. You know, if it's too low, it can mean bad things, but I don't think anybody's worried about it coming in too low today, to be honest. Yeah, look at MU, Nvidia, SPY, Bitcoin still making moves. So good morning, John. Rent has dropped a lot, so I think it'll be below expectations. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure really with CPI. We'll make a guess later. Off CPI. Yeah, live chat up here. I don't know, Dirty South. I'm not really gonna get into it. That's a little bit too. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, it's still under 90K. Oracle's still down. I might add a little bit to my Oracle position, but it's small. I might wait for inflation data first. I'm actually green in stocks on the day, but it looks like we want to go higher here. I might short this, to be honest, leading into inflation data. If we get to like a good short level, I might short it. I'm looking at 125s here. If we get up there, maybe I'll short it, but it's going to be small. We're in an upward trend for sure, but like I think inflation data coming out mixed with just the big bearish day we had yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an investment professional, guys. I'm not liable. If you lose, always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm not guaranteeing anything here today. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable. Don't copy me. Nasdaq's starting to come back down. It's under 25,100 here. We got the 200 exponential here at 79, 80. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait for inflation data to see what I want to do with the Oracle, to be honest. Yesterday was kind of a wild day. We had a lot of different news releases yesterday. We had a bunch of different sources come out with a bunch of different news releases. We had the what was the big news? Oracle had bad news yesterday regarding their Michigan data center, and yeah, and we also have news that the president is expected to announce a pilot program to pay for Medicare patients to use CBD via WAPO. Does that mean he's not rescheduling? So yeah, he's supposed to address the rescheduling on Thursday, is what I hear. Oracle could be a dip buy. I don't know. I'm waiting. Again, I'm in a very small position in Oracle, very small. And so I'm kind of waiting here. Look at the 25,100 rejection. Yeah, I mean, look, people can get mad about rescheduling it. Again, a lot of people are just fed propaganda, and a lot of people just kind of side with, you know, whichever. A lot of people just side with whatever political party they're affiliated with. And I get it, right? Like, I'm not super political, but I understand people's, like, group thinking is powerful, right? The reality of it is, you got to ask yourself, is it objectively worse than alcohol? And the answer to that should be obviously no. And so that means it should be on the same standard as alcohol at the very least, right? You can't sell liquor at gas stations, way more harmful of a thing, and then act like this is the worst thing ever. It's just nonsensical. It doesn't make sense to do it that way, you know? But with that said, I'm skeptical of stocks like Tilray because of this, because if for whatever reason this does not happen, which I've seen happen time and time again, Tilray might be giving up some of these gains. I think Tilray might be up a little bit too much, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Let me know if you think it'll hold. The Bank of Japan will announce their rate hikes an hour after market opens. Are they really? I don't think so. They're supposed to do it at like midnight tonight, right? Their rate decision is supposed to be at midnight. Let me see. I'm checking this now. All right, the interest rates announcements are made 11:45 Tokyo time to 13 Tokyo time. So yeah, this is gonna be a, like, I'm showing when it's 11:45 a.m. in Tokyo, it's 10:45 p.m. the previous night in Central Standard Time. So this is gonna be anytime between 10:45 and midnight in Central Standard Time, and Eastern Time is gonna be between 11:45 and 1. So that's late. Or maybe I'm backwards. Maybe it's I always get Eastern and Central. I'm in Central Time, right? So maybe I should have asked it. This is a big catalyst today. The yeah, here, let me put the back on. Yeah, we're a little bit sideways here. Bitcoin's still falling down. Bitcoin at 87,100s right now. 87,100s. Yeah, the Japanese rate decision. Yeah, they're not specific. Could be 9 to 2, 3 p.m. We'll see what happens, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, we'll see the consequences of the Japanese rate decision and what that entails. Yeah, I'm curious. Again, MicroStrategy, I see people mentioning it. Still down pretty big to 160s. MicroStrategy has seen a turn here. Look at MicroStrategy right now. And again, a lot of the market is up. If you look at MU right here, just for a second, this is MU. Up from 225 to 257 right now from their earnings. So good guidance on their earnings report is what I'm showing here. MicroStrategy, on the other hand, if we take a longer look at this, man, this thing is in free fall. This thing has not had many green days since July. Not many green days since July here. Show you guys this. Since July, it was at 450s. It's now at 160s for MicroStrategy. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we got inflation data today. I'm excited personally. I always like these big data release days. Again, CPI is mostly expected at 3%. Year over year at 3%. Uh, 3% year over year for headline. Look at Bitcoin pop. Speaking of Bitcoin, though, look at Bitcoin bounce a little bit here. Look at this, 87 220s, 87 3s. All right, let's see if there's news. Citi sees the Fed cutting an additional 25 basis points in September 2026, maintains forecast of 25 basis point cuts in each January and March. So this is Citi's outlook for rates. They just posted this. I don't know if this is moving things. Maybe this is what's boosting Bitcoin right now. I just saw the Citi news. Yeah, maybe we have the Citi news. Yeah, Bitcoin just surged up $3,000 an hour yesterday morning. I remember I was watching this, and then reclaimed 90,000, and then minutes later, 200 million worth of leverage long positions were liquidated. Bitcoin is now down to around 87,000, dropped all the way down to 86 yesterday. It's a $140 billion swing in 2 hours on Bitcoin yesterday. Yeah, so Citigroup, again, expects the Fed to deliver an additional 25 basis point rate cut in September of next year, maintains forecast of 25 basis point of rate cut each in January and March. I think that's probably what's boosting Bitcoin short term here. Bitcoin wants easy. Make or break today? Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, we'll see what we get today, guys. Still early, but we got stuff coming out today. Yesterday is definitely a bear trap. How many times does the Fed cut rates next year? I'm going to go with 3, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to go with 3, though. I think it could certainly be 2. It depends on how many, it depends on what data looks like going forward. Bitcoin now pulling back a little bit. Look at 87, 280s. Yeah, you got Nvidia up here. Look at Nvidia. Nvidia's up on MU. Like, MU earnings boosted a lot of stuff here. If you look at MU, the big story is MU earnings last night, yesterday evening. Good guidance numbers pushing MU up, so we had good news there for MU. If we take a look at yields and rate cut odds ahead of this report here, and so this is what I'm curious about. I looked at yields initially this morning already, and they were low. They're at 4.14%, which means they dropped a lot yesterday. So we put a 5-day chart up. You can kind of see yesterday we fell. We spiked originally and then fell all the way into this morning. We were at almost 4.18 yesterday. We are now at 4.14% in terms of interest rates and yields for the 10-year Treasury. We take a look at the odds of rate cut next month in January, which we're about 40 days away from. The odds have increased a little bit. We're at about 27% if you round up, and 73%. The 27, 73, 25 basis point odds are about 27% for next month. So 27%. So we'll see if these move with the CPI. This will move at least a little bit with the inflation report. We'll watch yields first and then see how the Fed watch tool changes their outcome. Okay, so I'm seeing some responses to how many rate cuts we get next year. I see 1, 2, 4. Definitely more than 1 with the new chairman. 3. 2 with 1 rate hike. You think 3.2%? I'm assuming you mean inflation, Ilios. You think 3.2% is very bad and 3.1% is good? What do you mean? You mean in terms of expected versus outcome? Is what I'm assuming you mean there? Like, what's the expected number versus what we actually show up as? I wouldn't call any of these numbers good, right? Like, I wouldn't call 3%, 3.1%, 3.2% necessarily good. Would I call them necessarily, like, terrible? No. Are they over 2% inflation target? Yes. but I wouldn't call any of them good or bad necessarily. I think those numbers are kind of in the middle. Obviously, higher is worse, lower is better. And so 3.2% is worse than 3 or 3.1% for sure. But the higher we go up, obviously, I think 3.2% definitely ain't good. I wouldn't call it terrible either. I'd say terrible starts when you get to like 3.5. Yeah, this is November's data. Bitcoin's still pushing up here. But yeah, again, I think, you know, yeah, 2022 we had 9% plus, 9.1% inflation for CPI. And so there's been good, bad, you know, it just depends on where we're at. Oh, you ain't getting a Rolex, bro. Yeah, you ain't getting one. All right, guys. Time for CPI inflation data. Let's see what we get. And then we got the rate decision for the Bank of Japan overnight. So Mizuho takeaways from Coinbase's system update. Mizuho notes that Coinbase launched new products aimed at becoming an everything exchange, including commission-free trading, prediction markets, robo-advisory services, branded stablecoins. The firm views the strategy positively, citing parallels with Robinhood and highlighting executions in stablecoin Solana connectivity and tokenization initiatives. However, they remain on the sidelines. Mizuho remains on the sidelines due to increasing uncertainty around Coinbase's ability to gain traction in equities, increasing commoditizations of prediction markets, and potential cannibalization of high-margin crypto retail revenues. So basically, Coinbase is getting into everything, but Mizuho is unsure about whether they'll be able to execute it successfully and get the amount of interest they need on Coinbase to do so. Again, we did have earlier Citigroup expects the Fed to do another 25 basis point cut in September. They think they're going to cut essentially in January, March, and September. I wouldn't say Omega and Grand Seiko are better. I have some Omegas that I like them, you know. If we're talking just if we're talking investing, they're obviously worse, you know. Like you go buy an Omega from the store, it's like 60. It's right now it's like $7,000 basically minimum, maybe 6,000 if you buy like the cheaper models. As soon as you walk off with that Omega, you're losing $3,000 plus in terms of market value. Rolex is kind of the opposite most of the time. You get a Rolex from an authorized dealer, as long as it's the right Rolex, you might double the price in free markets. And so I don't know much about Grand Seiko though. Yeah, no, Bank of Japan raising rates 25 basis points. I think it's already baked into markets, to be honest. So I think that's something we're already doing. We're already raising, they are already obviously going to raise rates 25 basis points. And I think that's baked into markets. Now, what you want to listen to is their tone, like what they say. Are they going to continue this restrictive cycle deep into the future? And if so, what's that going to look like? That might cause more headwinds in markets because of increased hawkish activity by the Bank of Japan. And that might be what people are worried about. And so I think a 25 basis point rate hike is already baked in. Yeah, we'll see how much they raise. Yeah, sorry, 75 basis points is what I meant to say. Oh no, they're moving it. They're moving their rate to 0.75%. Is what they're moving it. So they're moving their rate to 75 basis points. But they're widely expected to raise 25 today, is what it is. They're expected to raise it 25 basis points. It's at 0.5 right now. They're expected to bump it up to 0.75 is what it actually is. Well, yeah, rumors are nonsense, though, most of the time. But we'll see. Maybe not. I don't know the Bank of Japan Fed decisions like that. I know they're expecting 25 today. I know it's currently at 0.5%. And so that would make it 0.75%, their current rate at 0.75% if they do bump it up 25 basis points as expected today. It's random anytime after that. I'm not going to cover it. I got stuff I got to do tomorrow, but I mean, I'll cover it tomorrow morning. But I got to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so. All right, NASDAQ's chopping sideways here. We got MU up after big earnings. Good guidance. NVIDIA following suit. But again, I'm going to go back to this chart here. Here's the NASDAQ. All right, we had big drops in almost everything yesterday. Look at these drops. This is yesterday's price action. So we fell fast yesterday at the opening bell. MU released earnings at the closing bell yesterday. And that helped tech rebound some here. But markets are still net down last 24 hours. And so if we get bad inflation data today, that can kind of exacerbate the problem and cause more problems. And so you want to be careful here. What do you think inflation is going to show up as today in 45 minutes? We got 45 minutes. Let me put the timer up. What do you guys think inflation is going to show up as today? We got like 47 and a half minutes. Let me know what you guys think inflation is going to show up as today. We got 46 minutes left. Yeah, the time might be in the title, and we also have a timer at the bottom screen. %, 2.9%, 2.8%, 2.9%. So most people think we're going to show up lower than expected for inflation today. Interesting. Burry was right. Now, remember, this is November data, which is going to be at least partially missing some chunks with inflation data, right? So this is November data. We're at the very least going to be missing some of it. I'm going to go with 2.9%. 2.9% is my guess. We also have NEC Director Hassett says more power plants to boost supply and cut utility bills. Let's see what else Hassett is saying right now. Again, remember, Hassett is the leading candidate for the Fed chairman. Hassett says more power plants, more power plants to boost supply and cut utility bills is what he wants. We'll see. Again, CPI inflation data, 45 minutes exactly here. Be ready. Historically, the Bulls have won this Friday 79% of the time. Yeah, Friday is also quad witching day, a day of historical volatility in which all major contract types expire the same day. And so, yeah, we got quad witching day Friday. It's going to be like tonight. Sean, it's going to be like tonight sometime. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2.9%. It's my guess. I might be wildly wrong. This is just a straight up guess. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional, and I genuinely have no idea what these numbers are going to be. But I'm going to go with 2.9% today. We got 45 minutes left. 45 minutes. Hit the live button. Do me a favor. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I said this yesterday, and I know it to be true. We got a bunch of people that I call lurkers sitting here. You don't comment, you don't subscribe, but you watch the stream every day. At the very least, support the channel. Hit the like button. Everything we do here is free. I don't sell a course. I don't even claim to be a good trader. You're welcome. You know, subscribe. Do it now. Also, MicroStrategy. I think MicroStrategy is going to depend heavily on what Bitcoin does. I'm going to take the over on the inflation rate. Spot on, dude. You're my favorite background noise channel in a positive way. Hey, thank you, Goose. I appreciate it, brother. John, you're talking to a boomer. I believe the boomers are supportive. I really do, you know. Hey, thank you, Jim. Shout out to Jim sending. YZ here just got a free membership by Jim. Thank you, Jim. Shout out to Jim. Gold bias today. Let's take a look at gold. Again, gold still sitting pretty freaking close to all-time highs, but not breaking it. It's been the same thing for the last few days. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Ahad. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Ugh. Boomers bring the boom. I believe it. I believe it. Are y'all actually boomers? Or are y'all like the young people way of saying boomer? You know, like my dad's a baby boomer. So I'm one of the lurkers. I'm subscribed. I want to get the notifications and I like every video. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Gotcha. Yeah. Little education lesson here. Boomers are the children born to parents and fathers that fought in World War II, right? So they fought in World War II, they came home, and then they had a bunch of babies, and that is the baby boomer generation. The babies that were born once the fighters came home from World War II. Yeah, I'm a millennial, so. "66 years old. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for not being 1 year older, you know. Young people would show up. We never hear the end of it, you know. Hopefully it'll pass by the time you're a year older too, you know. Good luck. Who knew this would all right, guys. Nasdaq's not really giving me anything here. I don't know how to trade this unless I'm gonna short the top and buy the bottom. I don't really know what to do here. Hey, thank you, Enthusiast Driven. Hey, shout out to both of you guys. Thank you for not trying to sell me a course. You're welcome. It'd be the top 3 worst course ever. I wouldn't do it. But I appreciate the donation, Billy. Shout out to Billy. Thank you. Enthusiast, thank you for the donation. You're welcome. All right, guys. Again, CPI inflation data today. It's November's print. Remember, November the government was shut down for half of the month. I think we opened up on the 14th of November, meaning the first 2 weeks of November, the government was shut down. So we'll see how accurate this data is. But this data is going to guide where we go next year in 2026. Where we go in the Fed, what the Fed does next year, how many rate cuts. I think they're expecting 2 rate cuts next year in 2026. As of now, a January rate cut is only about 27% likely. 27% likely for January. I'll have to look at what March rates are expected at. March rates are expected, as of now, a rate cut in March is, where are we at now? We are at what? 350 to 375. So a March rate cut, it looks like we're going to get at least one more rate cut. A March rate cut is probably what we're looking at. Now, will we get a January rate cut? I don't know. That would basically be this one right here. And so we only got about 11% chance of a rate cut in January and a rate cut in March. As of now, about a 46% chance of no rate cut in January and a rate cut in March as of now. The numbers might be slightly different just from variances with these percentages, but yeah. So right now it's looking likely that we're going to cut rates in March, skip January. But this inflation data, you know, could change a lot of stuff. Hey, thank you, Rich, for becoming a member. Thank you, sir. What's up, Chef? Houses were cheap back then. I'm assuming y'all are still talking about baby boomers. Look, houses were cheap, 100%, right? But you got to understand the difference between now and then is that now we have so many different conveniences that they did not have back then, right? Like we have all these different things that they did not have back then, all these different sectors of technology that we have now that makes life more convenient and easy in some ways. In other ways, it might make it more difficult, but those things cause inflation. You know, to put it simply, those things cause inflation. And so basically, I'm saying both of you guys are kind of right, but you know, either way, it's all good here. Gold at 43.50s. Bitcoin pulling back here. If we take a look at silver, silver's been on a run the last few days. It's slightly red today, but look at silver's run since October. Is Japan going to raise interest rates significantly? I think they're going to raise 25 basis points, but they could do something different. Look at the NASDAQ pull back here. They could do something different. Again, Asset says it's appropriate to lower interest rates right now. Again, White House Economic Advisor Hassett says on the Fed, it's appropriate to lower interest rates right now. I mean, we don't have a Fed decision until January, dude. We can't lower rates now. But, I mean, he's basically saying we should continue to lower rates. Again, look, I'm not picking sides. I'm kind of neutral. He wants that Fed chairman job, 100%. You know, he's been talking a lot the last few days. He wants that chairman job. I can't blame him for doing this, right? But that's what he's doing. He wants the chairman job, 100%. That's what he's doing. All right, NASDAQ pulling back to the 200 exponential here. I was going to short, what was I going to short up here? I think I was going to short 125. We just didn't quite get to it. Here's the 200 exponential. Again, where do we bounce initially? The 200 exponential. On a 1 minute chart specifically. I don't know why it works on a 1 minute chart. It's not going to work every time. But yeah. Thanks to Dr. John. I started waking up at 5 a.m. I hit the gym and come back before 6:30. Do not miss the stream. Thank you, Enthusiast Driven. I appreciate it. Top 3 not a doctor people in the world right now, though. Definitely not a doctor. But I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you, sir. Down to 87 ones, 87 ones. Again, silver has been on a tear. Gold is very close to all-time highs. And so I'm curious to see how today's inflation print could change this. Oh, dude, I'm saying tanking every other word. Ty. It'll be all right. It's my own word now. You know, it's my word now. Gold at 43.50s. Okay, let me see if this will make you feel better. Bitcoin slightly dropping, down to 87,125. Hey, what's up, Fault? Declaring himself the financial doctor. That's right. Apparently, I'm the cook of Wall Street. Apparently, with my background, people think this is a kitchen. It's really a library. But hey, you know, I like the cook of Wall Street. I need to get a better camera thing, but there we go. All right, guys. 87 ones. CPI inflation data expected right around 3.1% for core inflation year over year. Headline inflation expected around 3%. Both core and headline month over month are expected at 0.3%. I'm going to guess 2.9% for headline. I'm going to go with 2.9%. I think it's either going to be 2.9 or 3%. I think the data is a little inaccurate, you know. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Again, we got 35 minutes until this inflation report comes out. 35 minutes. Yeah, yesterday Yesterday was an interesting drop. Again, if we go back here, look at this drop yesterday. Like this move up this morning looks healthy. If you didn't know what we did yesterday, you might think we're doing well in the last few days. That's not the case at all. If we zoom out, look at this drop. That's not small. That's not small. We dropped from 25,500 on the NQ all the way down to 24.9s yesterday because of MU earnings. Again, MU posted good guidance and good numbers yesterday for earnings. MU is gapping up from 225 to 255, and that's helping tech this morning. But again, we are net down for sure over the last 24 hours in NASDAQ markets. Oracle news definitely hurt markets. Oracle had news that one of their funding partners backed out of their $10 billion Michigan data center deal. I think another one stepped in, but it still wasn't good sentiment for microchips. And so because of that, we saw microchip corrections yesterday. Oil has bounced back on the sanction news, I think a little bit, right? I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, at the end of the day, they did. They kind of retraced back down some, though. Are y'all still arguing about boomers? Oh, now, guys. John, can you cover the Japanese rate hike? I'm not going to be... Look, I got to get up at 6 a.m. for my morning stream. As much as I want to, dude, I'm not going to do a stream at midnight and then get up at 6 a.m. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it, you know? I appreciate you guys. But yeah, I'm just not doing that. Place you were at last week had a kitchen in the background. I mean, I don't think it... I mean, it did actually have... It wasn't last week. I think you're talking about like 3 weeks ago. But it did have a kitchen in the background. This is a different place. Not the same place. This is my house. I'm at my house right now. Where I was at then was not my house. Different place. Yeah, month over month expected at 0.3%. I'm not going to make a guess on month over month. How many rate cuts next year is the question. Do we rate cut in January? Do we cut rates in January? As of now, obviously, I don't think so. But this inflation data could move things. So do we cut rates in January? All right, so the Ukrainian president says there is progress with the United States on peace. That's good. Oil's still down to $56 a barrel. That was an undisclosed location. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you guys everywhere I go. How is there an official month over month? What do you mean? Official month over month expectation is 0.3%. 0.3% month over month today for both core and regular. That's the expectation. Last time month over month CPI inflation showed up at 0.3%. Core showed up at 0.2% month over month last time. They're both expected at 0.3% today. And again, U.S. Trade Representative Greer references Section 301 as a possible tool to deal with the European Union tech dispute via CNBC. I gotta pop out the chat today. Moving too quickly. Trying to like track everything. What's up, Faye? Sam? Brian? Steve? There is no October release. We got September release in October. We're skipping the October release. We didn't get a CPI inflation report in November. And now we're getting the November report because it's mid-December is what it is. Tell us where you go this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to get my mom's maiden name, my social. You know what I mean? I'm just going to consolidate that into a package and just, you know. That sounds like a great idea. Bitcoin bouncing up a little bit here. NASDAQ bounced right here. Again, watch the 200 exponential because look at this. But I appreciate the donation, Jeff. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Oh man, where is that quote from? Is that from Kindergarten Cop? It's been so long since I've seen that movie. Is that what it is? I know it's an Arnold quote, I think, but I can't remember where it's from. Okay. It's been a while. NASDAQ bounced at 200 exponential here. An article about Anthropic building a big data center not too far outside of BR. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. Look at Bitcoin bounce, though. I know the ponytail guy's bad, which is kind of true for every 90s movie. Karate Kid 2, 3, ponytail dude bad. You know, Kindergarten Cop, guy with the ponytail, definitely a bad guy. NASDAQ shooting up here. Look at this bounce. Let's see if there's news. Tariffs will be a tool regardless of the Supreme Court, according to U.S. Trade Representative Greer. Again, tariffs will be a tool regardless of the Supreme Court. Novo files for FDA approval of one of their drugs, first weekly combination of the GLP-1 analogs for weight management. All right, markets are rebounding here. It doesn't look like it's Nvidia. Let's take a look at Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon. I think Amazon had some good news today regarding multi-billion-dollar OpenAI investment into Amazon potentially is what we're hearing. I don't know if this... I'll have to check deeper into this news. I don't think this is what's driving this move here, though. I don't really see too big of a pop. I see Bitcoin rising. Okay, so Trade Representative Greer is still speaking. Redfin reports pending home sales fall 6%, the biggest drop in nearly a year. Greer says the president and Xi are supposed to meet in April, and the Chinese president are supposed to meet in April. He says China should buy medical devices, airplanes from the U.S. And again, that both presidents from U.S. and China are supposed to meet again in April. I'm watching this 100 level here. We got 27 minutes left, 27 minutes. Again, Redfin saying U.S. pending home sales fell 5.8% from a year earlier during the 4 weeks ending December 14th. CPI is at 8:30. There's a big timer in the bottom left. It's also on the title of the stream. Also, Chipotle. Chipotle has had a bad year. But they're so low now, there might be an argument to buy them. I have to check more details, like more numbers regarding Chipotle, but it doesn't look bad, I guess. Not an investment professional. Don't copy me. Not liable. Bitcoin back up to almost 88,000. It's at 87.6 thousand right now. Hey, thank you, Ilios. I appreciate it. NASDAQ coming all the way back down here, though. Look at this drop on the NASDAQ. Again, I don't know if this is just... I mean, Trade Rep Greer is speaking right now. Yeah, Zelensky's also speaking right now. I'm wondering if that's influencing markets. But again, U.S. Trade Rep Greer says the president, both U.S. and Chinese president, are supposed to meet again in April. Redfin reports pending home sales fell almost 6%, biggest drop in nearly a year there. Yeah, appreciate you becoming a member though, Ilios. John, what do you think if CPI comes in higher, how much it can impact stocks and crypto? It depends on how high it comes in, to be honest. If it comes in much higher, then obviously that's bad, and that's going to evoke a bigger reaction. It's going to reduce the odds of rate cuts next year. And so obviously if it's much higher, it's not good. If it's slightly higher, it's still not good, but I don't think it's going to be terrible. We'll have to wait and see though. Yeah, I might add more to Oracle, but I think I'm going to wait until after CPI inflation comes out. What I'm looking at. Again, CPI expected at 3% headline year over year, 0.3% month over month for both core and headline month over month. 3.1%. Oh, I'm sorry. It's expected at 3.1% for headline, 3% for core year over year. Month over month, they're both expected at 0.3%. All right, so this could be Oracle pulling back a little bit here. Like, look, there's Amazon. Here's Oracle. Oracle's starting to turn back down here. Again, I don't know what we're going to get for inflation data. I'm going to go with 2.9%, but it's just a straight up guess. I tell you guys this every time. 2.9 to 3% is my guess. I don't know what it is. I think they're missing some data from November. And so, all right, so we're starting to fall fast here. That part of this is Oracle. Look at the market fall here, guys. Wow, we're seeing some pullbacks. Nasdaq's dumping here. Again, I don't really see a reason for it. I see Oracle pulling back some here. Yikes. See, this is something else besides Oracle, though. Hold on, let's take a look. Meta, Google, Amazon. Amazon's dipping. What am I missing? Microsoft? Not really Microsoft. Oracle is falling. Amazon's falling. Nvidia's falling. So this is microchip centered mostly. Nvidia, Amazon, Oracle dipping down. But this is a fairly large drop here. Okay. But again, I don't really see a catalyst here. I'm looking, again, maybe just baked in, getting baked in. Again, Hassett said it was appropriate for the Fed to lower rates right now. Big drop here, big drop. I might trade this a little bit here. Let me try. Let me short this little bounce if I can catch it. Wait, what account is it? All right, so we got a big drop and a big rebound back up here. Now we're back at the 200 exponential. We could get choppiness today, though. It's interesting to see what we get. Bitcoin held at 87.5 right there. What a rebound back up here. Let's see if it holds. That candle just got balled up here. Bitcoin's still rising right now, though. Look at Bitcoin. Again, CPI inflation data, 20 minutes, chat. 20 minutes. We're falling back down some here. Let's see what we get. We're kind of neutral. Oracle and Bitcoin still looks like they're dipping here, though. Again, Ural's crude cargo value has dropped 40 to 40 BBL at Russian ports, according to Reuters. Kind of in no man's land, but this thing got bought right back up. This big drop happened, and then we got bought right back up. What weird price action ahead of CPI. CPI should be awful, even that speech last night. Fed is freaking out. Yeah, look at this fake out candle here. Just drops big. Hey, we got 20 minutes. We got inflation data coming out. Y'all be ready. Did get bought up though. Oracle's still down. Nvidia did rebound here. Definitely a little sketchier right now though. I'm a short. We'll try. We're in somehow I've got it set here where it doesn't show. Okay. I'm in a trade right now. What account am I in? Okay, I'm at this bottom account. Okay, I see it. Yeah, I was wondering like what's going on here. So we're down a little bit on this trade so far, but I'm shorting this. I want to see if this holds. Yeah, we got 20 minutes left until inflation data. But I might add a little bit more to this. We got 3 contracts here. Maybe take 4 if I need to. All right, guys, we got CPI inflation data. 17 minutes here, chat. 17 minutes. All right, I'm probably gonna have to cut this. What a weird move. It's small though, but again, I'm looking for news releases coming out, but we don't really have anything. Again, are y'all bullish or bearish on today's Fed meeting? We did a poll earlier. Do we get higher or lower inflation than expected? Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this with a small risk right now, I think. Do we get higher or lower inflation data today? And are you bullish or bearish on this report? All right, we'll cut this. It's small. Yeah, we're out. Bullish? Tricky report. Oracle's debt is a house of cards. Yeah, but Oracle's down so much. That's the only thing with Oracle that I'm like, well, what's the PE ratio of Oracle right now? Let's take a look. It's in the 30s, so the PE ratio is not crazy. Forward PE is only around 26. That's not bad. Yeah, again, CPI inflation data is big today, guys. We'll see what we get. Hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. Bitcoin's still flying back up a little bit. Maybe it's not flying, but Bitcoin going up. The U.S. economy would have to be dipping into a recession for another rate cut. You think so? To justify another rate cut or for them to cut another rate? Another rate. Kind of spending. Yeah, Bitcoin's back up to almost 88,000 this morning here. Yesterday was a weird day. We had a lot of news sources come out yesterday. The big news is that Oracle specifically, their partner backed out of their $10 billion Michigan data center deal. They got another partner. I think it was Blue Owl or something like that. I can't remember the names of their partners. They sound like, both of them sound like dog food to me. Like a dog food brand. Who was the names? Let me see. Blue Owl. Talk stall yesterday. $10 billion Michigan data center. Who was the other one? It was Blue Owl and somebody else. Blackstone? Yeah. So it was Blue Owl that backed out. I think Blackstone stepped in. Yeah, again, the Japanese rate decision coming out later on today. It's a big catalyst. It's not small. We got 15 minutes left, chat. 15 minutes. And again, I'm expecting 2.9% inflation today. I might be wrong. The ECB did their rate decision. Again, they kept rates the same as expected for the ECB, the European Central Bank. Again, put bull or bear out in chat right now. Bull or bear in chat. Let me know what you guys think. Bull or bear. NASDAQ just got balled up here. What a fake out. Where's my pin setting? Somewhere. There it is. Look at this. We dropped big and then just V-shaped recovery all the way back up. That's hard to trade. It really is hard to trade that. Now we just broke highs of the day ahead of the rate decision here, guys. Or not the rate decision, ahead of CPI. Bull, bear, bull, bear, bull, bull. All right, Daniel. Bulls are raging, neutral, bullish, bear with horns. Yeah, again, remember, guys, this is November data. This is November CPI data. Again, this is November CPI data. We'll see what we get today, but it is November CPI data. We'll see what we get. Again, we're going to cover this as soon as it drops live, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We got 12 minutes left. 12 minutes. Nvidia's down a lot. It's at 173s. We dropped a lot yesterday. Inflation expected roughly at 3.1% for headline. You can see it at the bottom. And 3% for core headline. Or no, 3% for core, 3.1% for headline. And then month over month, they're both expected at 0.3% today. We also have jobless claims unemployment's going live at 8:30 as well. Jobless claims today are expected at 224,000 unemployment claims. This is lower than the previous one at 236,000. And then tonight we have the Japanese rate decision, which people are nervous about the carry trade dynamic unwinding. And so we do have that going on as well. And again, CPI is in about 12 minutes here, chat. 12 minutes. See what we get. All right. NASDAQ dipping down. We're at 25,100s here. Markets are scared. Big drops yesterday. Slight rebounds from MU earnings heading into the CPI report. And this is November CPI. I'm guessing 2.7. Again, put your percentage guesses out in chat. Mine's 2.9 to 3%. The ECB says we'll follow a data-dependent and meeting-by-meeting approach to determine the appropriate monetary policy stance. Interest rate decisions will be based on its assessment of the inflation outlook and the risks surrounding it. Yeah, Japanese rate decision tonight. We got 11 minutes left until this report drops. A little bit under that, actually, but still. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think the government was shut down for half of November, so I'm questioning how accurate some of this data is going to be, right? That's what I'm questioning, how accurate the data is going to be. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. Again, I'm questioning how accurate the data is going to be. Data is supposed to release in 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes here. Do you have MetaTrader 4? No. 2.8% CPI data is an issue. Is lower better? Yeah, lower is lower inflation data. Again, the Fed has a dual mandate, so they have two things that they got to worry about. They have the labor market, basically unemployment, labor market, jobs. They have jobs, and then they have inflation. The dual mandate means they want to keep jobs strong and inflation low, right? And right now their target is 2% for inflation, but we're at 3% basically right now. And again, the Fed can control these things in some ways through rate decisions and other economic policies, right? So they can lower interest rates if the labor market's too weak. This can kind of stimulate the economy because businesses can then expand and hire more people, and people tend to spend more when they have cheaper access to leverage and so forth. And there's a lot of ways it stimulates the economy and can improve the labor market over time, long term. On the other end of that, if inflation is an incredible risk, right, they can raise interest rates, restrict the economy, push it down a little bit, control spending by making people have less access to cheaper interest rates. Right now, they've been lowering interest rates quarters of % at a time, and that's heading into today. The question is, what do we do in January? We got a meeting at the end of January, another Fed decision at the end of January. The question is, what does the Fed do? What are we going to do at the end of January? Right now, it's only about 27% likely that we're going to cut rates 25 basis points again at the end of January. But again, today's inflation report is going to influence that at least a little bit. We're still going to have another inflation report as well as another labor report before that Fed decision. We had the previous labor report show a little bit stronger than expected. I think it showed up at 64,000 earlier in the week on Tuesday. And so we had labor show up a little bit stronger than expected, especially considering some of the previous reports where we went negative. But the October report for labor came in at negative 105,000 jobs for October. But the government was shut down the entire month of October, so it's nuanced. It's nuanced. And again, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got 8 minutes left. 8 minutes. Again, CPI inflation goes soon. See what we get today, guys. Seven minutes left until CPI inflation. Let's see what we get. It's time. Again, give me your last minute predictions. We got the Japanese rate decision today. That's going to be crazy too. .9, 3.3. 3.3 for sure seems pessimistic, but maybe 3.2%. Yeah. 2.9%. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2.9. That's my guess. But again, who knows? The Japanese rate decision is going to be tonight. Again, the Japanese rate decision is tonight. 7 minutes left, chat. 7 minutes. We got about 2,000 people here. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. 7 minutes left. Again, it's expected at roughly 0.3% for both core and headline month over month. 0.3% gain month over month for headline and core is what's expected. Year over year headline is expected at 3.1%, so it's expected to uptick 0.1% from what it was last time, which was last time CPI year over year was 3%. Now they're expecting 3.1%, so they're expecting a 0.1% uptick in headline inflation. Month over month is expected to stay the same for headline. Core was last time at 0.2% month over month. Now they're expecting it at 0.3%. All right, guys. Again, we got 6 minutes left. 6 minutes. Yeah, again, I'm just going to guess here. I'm just going to guess. Again, bullish or bearish on this report. Looking at our polls, 48% think we're going to have higher inflation reading today. We'll see if you guys are right. 32% think lower. 20% think as expected. So again, 48% think higher. 32% think lower. 20% think as expected today. We'll see. We'll see. Again, ECB paused rates today. They didn't do anything. The Bank of Japan is supposed to announce their decision tonight. Again, money markets are pricing at about 45% chance of a rate hike by March of 2027 from 35% before ECB. Yardini thinks the Mag 7 rotation may limit a Santa rally. Remember, a Santa rally is historically from December 26th through January 2nd is usually when we get a Santa rally. But again, if we look at the rates right now, we can take a look at yields. Treasury yields, again, sitting at 4.12% this morning. So this is lower than they were yesterday. 4.12% for Treasury yields. If we take a look at rate odds ahead of this report, we are currently at about 27% likely of a 25 basis point cut in January. About 27% likely of a 25 basis point cut. We got about 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Yeah, we'll see 3.6%. I don't think that's happening. I think if we do 3.6%, markets are coming down today. Obviously, I think that's pretty high, though. We got 4 minutes left. Hit the live button next to the play button and put it in 2x speed. You'll catch up to the stream. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Yeah. We'll see what happens. If inflation comes in lower than expected, how much will the market rally? It depends on how low. Depends on how low. Really low, market should be optimistic about that. But, again, we'll have to wait and see. Again, we got about 3 minutes left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We appreciate it. Let me get this ready. Again, CPI year over year expected at 3.1%, previous of 3%. CPI month over month is expected at 0.3%. Here we go, guys. Again, year over year and core month over month is expected at 0.3%. Again, last time was 0.3%. Here we go, guys. Again, 3% expected for core CPI year over year and 0.3%. I think core showed up at what last time? Core showed up at 3% last time. And again, last time core CPI, they're expecting 3%, 0.3%. Previous was 0.2%. So they're expecting upticks in core and headline in some ways. All right, guys, here we go. We got 2 minutes left. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. We're almost here. Again, I'm going to put gold up right here on this chart. I'm going to put gold up. I'm going to put, what do I put up? Gold. Maybe the dollar index here to see how that moves with this. Dollar index has been dumping for the last few minutes. Bitcoin at 87.5, 87.6 roughly. Again, we got a minute and a half, chat, a minute and a half. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. And we got jobless claims. They're expected at 224,000. Last time they showed up at 236K. So lower is better for the labor market and jobless claims. So we got labor data and inflation data going live, 8:30. We got 1 minute left. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We appreciate it. We're ready here. Let's see what we get. All right, guys, here we go. All right, this timer's a little bit early, guys. We actually have about 30 seconds left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We will see what we get today. Again, be ready. Again, the report's coming live pretty soon. Here we go. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We got 10 seconds left. Here we go. And the report's going live right now. Waiting for CPI. CPI. Jobless claims showed up lower than expected for continuing claims. CPI showed up at 2.6% for core, 2.7% for regular. Again, year over year for headline showed 2.7% versus expected 3.1%. Core CPI showed up at 2.6%. 2.6% for core CPI year over year versus expected expected 3% for core. Again, 2.7 versus 3.1%. Jobless claims numbers showed up at 224 as expected. Again, year over year headline showed 2.7 versus 3.1%, and the market is loving this report. Again, market is loving this report. Huge pop up here. Huge pop up. Wow. Crazy. Huge moves on the upside here on better than expected data here. Crazy. Look at these moves. And again, we're going to look at the BLS report. Jobless claims as expected at 224,000. As expected at 224,000. Again, I'm going to read this report for you right here. The consumer price index increased 0.2% on a seasonally adjusted basis over the 2 months for September 24 or 25 to November. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics over the last 12 months. You can look at everything here. Look, I'm going to summarize this report for you. But again, lower than expected inflation data today. NASDAQ, gold, dollar index is falling down on this report. Bitcoin is ripping up on this report. This definitely opens the green light to more rate cuts next year, potentially. All item CPI rose 0.3% in September after seasonally adjusted after 0.4% in August and up 3% over the last 12 months. Core CPI, which is excluding food and energy, 0.2% on the month, 3% over the past year, showing underlying inflation roughly running in line with the headline. Wait, hold on. Maybe my data was wrong here. I showed 2.6% for core versus 3%, 2.7% for headline. Yeah, index rose 2.7% after rising 3% over the 12 months. So yeah, we did do better than expected. Inflation markets love this data here. Services core rose 0.2% in September, 3.5% over the year. And yeah, so way better than expected report here. Way better than expected report. Markets like this data here. 2.6 versus 3% for core. Jobless claims 224,000 in the week ending December 13th. Again, 2.7% for headline CPI. Way better than expected here. Markets are loving this print. Again, this opens the door to potentially more rate cuts next year because, and again, I think we'll see yields fall from this report and the odds of a January cut increase. I think we're going to see yields fall from this report and the odds of a September cut increase. Philly Fed index also showed up at 12.9 versus a previous 6. Yeah, inflation data much better than expected today, guys. Much better than expected. Year over year, 2.7% versus 3.1% expected. We'll put this data up on screen. Better than expected CPI, lower than expected CPI print, lower than expected jobless claims as well. So a little bit stronger labor data and lower inflation data is what I'm showing here. Again, we'll put this up on screen so you can see it. Core CPI showed up at 2.6. Now, again, this might be inaccurate data. We are missing an entire month. But NASDAQ, everything reacting well to this. Yields falling. NASDAQ up. SPY up. Gold up. Dollar index down. Bitcoin up on this report. Does the Santa rally begin? Does it? I don't know. Does the Santa rally begin? Look at this big pop here. Yeah, good report for sure. Lower than expected inflation data. 2.6% for core inflation year over year. 2.7% for headline. So way better than expected. Yeah. Very good. Very good report. Honestly, I would expect the market to react better to this, better than this. But I think the market's a little nervous right now just with how things go. With all the data set of fears, I think markets are a little nervous from this report. Just based off of everything. So, yeah. Incomplete data. Yeah, markets were closed for the first 2 weeks of November. And this is November data. Remember, this is November data. But again, better than expected. 2.7% for headline, 2.6% for core. Noticeably better than the 3.1 and 3% expectations here. Jobless claims came in as expected, lower than last time and as expected. But I do think this opens the door to more rate cuts. I'm curious to see if this is going to move the Fed watch tool here. I expect this to increase. It hasn't changed it yet, but I expect the January rate cut odds to go up after this report. I do expect the January rate cut odds to go up. We'll see. But again, better than expected inflation data here. 2.6 and 2.7% respectively for core and then headline inflation. Let's end this poll. I'm going to do another poll right now. Are you bullish or bearish on today's lower than expected inflation print? Bull or bear? Vote on the poll. I mean, I think bull is the obvious option, but the market is not necessarily treating it as such. NASDAQ coming down here to 25,160. Again, this is November data, which could be inaccurate. It could be inaccurate. And so, yeah, it could be inaccurate. Again, core showed 2.6%. Headline showed 2.7%. Again, looking at our poll numbers initially, 60% are bullish, 40% are bearish. So we're 60-40 right now. Again, Philly Fed data showed up at 12.9. So better than expected there as well. Previous was 6. Jobless claims showed up as expected at 224 versus 224 expected. Previous was 236, so they came down a little bit as well. And yeah, gold is popping higher here, getting back up to close to all-time highs now. Again, the BLS data, just to read this here for you guys. The BLS data is out. Again, month over month, 0.2%. 0.2% core. You can see all this graphs here. Seasonally adjusted proceeds. Let's see where we're at. We're at November 2025. Gas, 3%. New vehicles, 0.2%. Used cars and trucks, 0.3%. So, but again, we're missing some data here. Is the question? Is the big thing? Nasdaq's still going up here. We're at 25,192 here. 25,192. Again, inflation cools. Looking at our poll, 65% are bullish now, 35% are bearish. If you're bearish, let me know why. Why are you bearish right now? Let me know. Nasdaq's pushing higher here. We're at 25.2. I think we're down a lot yesterday, and we just got a really low CPI print, right? So I think that stuff, when you combine them together, seems bullish to me. But you never know, and markets can do anything they want to do. Yeah, the Japanese rate decision could throw a wrench into all of this, right? They're supposed to report tonight in terms of rates for the Japan. Yeah, we're supposed to do the rate decision for the Bank of Japan tonight. That could influence things a lot. Although I do think a hawkish Bank of Japan, a rate hike of 25 basis points is already baked in. I think if they raise more than 25 basis points today, or they have a much more hawkish tone than expected in their meeting, that could cause problems tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I think that is an issue for sure. And again, stick around. We are going to be trading live today, guys. We are going to be trading live. We'll see what we get. Again, we got inflation data today. It should be really interesting leading into everything. Japanese rate decision tonight. We got the Bank of Japan Japanese rate decision. Inflation data 2.7%. Headline at year-over-year core showing up 2.6%. You can read the scroller at the bottom here. Look, we're getting up to this 2. I don't know why I have this level on my chart, but we just ripped past it. I'm watching 250 up here. But again, this is obviously getting bought up. A lot of stocks are getting bought up as well. Here's Nvidia at 174s. Apple moving up. Oracle moving up. You'll love to see it. Google flying up to 303s. Nvidia, again, 174s now. Still under 180s, though. It's still red over the last 24 hours. But this inflation data should benefit it, I think, right? Yeah, hit the subscribe button, guys. Help me out. Hit the subscribe button. Again, I said this earlier. We got a group of people called lurkers. And I appreciate you guys. But y'all don't subscribe and you never say anything. And you watch me for all the data releases. So hit the like button, subscribe, do it now. I don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't even claim to be a good trader. Cover everything for free as soon as it drops. You're welcome. Do it now, subscribe. I appreciate it. No, I'm not going to be streaming live for the Japanese rate decision at midnight tonight, 11 o'clock tonight. It's just, I got to get up at 6 a.m. for this morning stream, so I just need more sleep than that. I'm kind of OCD with sleep. I need it. And, I don't think I necessarily trade well when I don't get good sleep. They say for every hour less than 7 hours of sleep, you get your IQ drops by like 10 points or something. And so, I just need my sleep, guys. I'm sorry. Why is the Bank of Japan decision such a big deal for us? Because the Bank of Japan, especially recently over the last few decades, has had a historically very low interest rate or negative interest rate, right? And so what people do is they do what's called a carry trade on that low interest rate environment, where they take that low interest rate environment and they use leverage with low interest to buy up a bunch of bonds and other assets with it because it's such a low interest rate environment. Now, the Bank of Japan over the last little bit has kind of pivoted from that ultra dovish environment to a hawkish environment. They're probably going to raise rates today up to 0.75%. And this is unwinding that carry trade dynamic. So people will start unloading their US assets bought with the Japanese yen, right? And the more hawkish the Bank of Japan gets, the more that carry trade dynamic is going to unwind. And that could cause sell-offs in our markets, right? And we've seen that historically. A year and a half ago or so, we had this big drop from the carry trade dynamic starting to unwind. And it's still kind of starting now, and it's kind of a big focus in markets. And that decision happens tonight. They're expected to raise rates 25 basis points. But if they raise more than 25, or if they're much more hawkish in their tone than expected, that could cause problems in our markets tomorrow morning. And so tune in tomorrow morning, because we still got stuff to cover tomorrow. But yeah, that's the carry trade dynamic that everybody's talking about. Yeah, I appreciate the lurkers. I'm just joking with you guys. That IQ guy just said that for attention. I don't know, dude. If I get less than 7, I feel like I'm a little bit slower, you know, if I get less than 7. I lurked for months. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it, Christy. Thank you guys. Thank you, Manuel. CPI is a joke. People are mad about low inflation. I don't make it make sense though, guys. I don't understand. You know, like, look, I don't care if the numbers are fake. I don't care if they're not accurate. I don't care if you want rate hikes. I'm glad we get a low inflation print. I think after the market dropped substantially yesterday. Look at this market, guys. Let me zoom out for a second. Look at these drops yesterday. Like, look how long it takes me just to scroll up here. That's not good. I don't want to see the market crash. I would rather have strong data. And, yeah, I mean, the data was strong. The data was good. Inflation data is good. It can be made up. It can be not accurate. We could be closed in the government for the first 2 weeks of November. I don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff. Give me low inflation, you know. I'm for it. Cheers to you guys. I'm going to celebrate regardless. Yeah, and listen, I'm just joking here. I understand the other side, right? The other side is going to say, hey, look, this low inflation print is going to cause the Fed to cut rates more aggressively next year, potentially. If inflation really is an issue and this data isn't accurate, the lower interest rate environment next year could cause inflation to exacerbate and get worse over time, causing all of us to have to deal with higher inflation long term, right? That's going to be the argument of it. And I don't necessarily disagree with that argument, but I also think we have weakness in labor. And I think it's one of those situations in which after a certain amount of weakness in the labor market, we have to make that the priority, because if we don't, again, I've said this before, if we don't, we enter recessions or depressions, and then we have to super ease and do quantitative easing and deep money printing to get us out of it, and that's going to cause more inflation than anything anyway. And so I understand worrying about inflation. I'm self-employed. I don't get raises every time inflation goes up. So I fear inflation substantially as well. But I also don't want to enter a recession necessarily and have to do deep quantitative easing and money printing. And, you know, maybe we'll do that stuff anyway is the other argument. But yeah, I would just rather be proactive with rate cuts. And then if we see inflation start to spike, then we can be hawkish and restrictive and start raising rates. I'm okay with that dynamic. But again, I know some people are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. It's a subjective thing for sure, especially in terms of outlook. It's subjective for sure. Yeah, I just mean slow data. Hey, thank you, Do. Appreciate it. And again, if we take a look at CPI inflation here, guys, like, let's just take a look at it. Okay, so here's the CPI inflation chart. Number one, a couple things you'll see here. Inflation almost never literally goes down. Maybe right here. Inflation almost never literally goes down unless when we're in a recession or worse, right? Here's 2008. We dropped, got bought right back up. And so what we really want is inflation to slow down. Here's 2022. Again, the Fed stepped in after 2020. We had stimulus checks, lockdowns, supply chain problems. Right, this all so the Fed stepped in, did quantitative easing, money printing, brought rates down to almost zero, and that caused inflation. By the time 2 years later, 2022, CPI inflation was 9.1%. And so then the Fed stepped in and they raised rates like 500 basis points, and then they only started cutting at the end of last year. They started cutting and bringing interest rates back down. At this point, we did get inflation slowing down to right around where we are now, which is about 3%. Today it showed up again at 2.7% for headline. But the point is, we want inflation to slow. It's very difficult to make it go down without us entering a deep recession. And so that's CPI inflation over the last 20 years. NASDAQ, on the other hand, is still moving higher here. We're still pushing higher. Again, Bitcoin all the way up to Bitcoin wants easing as well, guys. So if you look at Bitcoin underneath me right here, right here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin wants easing. They want lower interest rates. They want quantitative easing. Anything that might contribute to QE or low interest rates is going to make Bitcoin rise. And so you see Bitcoin start to rise. You also see the NASDAQ retracing some of these losses that they made over the last 24 hours. And so I don't want the market to crash around the holidays. You know, and again, my stream does better when the market crashes. Don't get it twisted. People tune in when there's a fire, you know, so market crashes will actually benefit me. I think people get hurt when the market crashes. So I'd still rather it not happen. Maybe you could argue a small correction is necessary to avoid a larger crash. Not necessarily against that either. But yeah. Let's see where gold's at and everything here. There's the dollar index. Here's gold. Gold's almost green on the day. Remember, the all-time high in gold futures is 43.98. So the all-time high is right here. This light yellow line is the all-time high in gold futures. Yeah, I mean, jobless claims, again, 224,000 today, as expected. Jobless claims are the amount of people filing for unemployment week to week. It's a more real-time look at labor, especially when the government shut down. We'll kick the can until January. Yeah, maybe, brother. Rams or Seahawks? I mean, I'm kind of neutral. You know? LSU got Lane Kiffin, though. So, I'm going to bring it back to college. Because that's what... I haven't been following the NFL that much this year, to be honest. I'm rooting for Brock Purdy, though. I am rooting for Brock. Yeah. Gareth Soloway said he doesn't believe the data today. Didn't he short Bitcoin at like 32,000 or something like that? Hey, thank you, Uncle. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'll root for the Hawks. Go Seahawks. Is Lane Kiffin better than Brian Kelly? Honestly, at this point, anybody's better than Brian Kelly. You know, I didn't really like Kelly. You know, he's with Notre Dame, and then he leaves, and then Notre Dame wins when he leaves, and then he comes to LSU and loses. Like, I don't know. Again, bull or bear today, guys. NASDAQ is up extensively from CPI inflation. Gold is now technically green on the day. Technically green. Market doesn't care about the numbers. I mean, they care about the numbers. They reacted this way. I mean, low CPI is good universally. You know, it's not just good because we can cut rates now, according to the market. It's good because it's lower prices. And most people largely universally agree with that, I would say. Now, whether the numbers are real or accurate is the real question. And regarding that, I'm really not sure. I think we're missing 2 weeks of November, and this is November data. And so I think you got to take that consideration into it when you're analyzing the data. But I also think the market's down big over the last 24 hours with microchip and data fears. And I think lower prices is good. And we kind of needed this. So again, let's take a look at the rate odds now on the Fed watch tool. I'm assuming this is going to increase the odds. Mine hasn't really changed though. Look, yields. Yeah, I mean, yields dropped on this data, but it's not honest. I'm surprised yields didn't drop more on this data release. Powell said they weren't. Well, Powell every meeting, again, Powell every single meeting here, guys, has been very consistent with what he says. Powell, okay, in September, Powell cut rates 25 basis points. And then he said in October, it's not a sure thing we're cutting rates in the Jackson Hole Symposium speech. He said, hey, it's not a sure thing we cut rates in October. And then October came around and he cut rates 25 basis points. And then in the October meeting, he said, hey guys, listen, it's not a guarantee we cut rates in December. And then December rolls around and he cuts rates, right? And so he's easing into it. He's trying to set the bar low in terms of rate cut expectations. Probably trying to avoid big market swings and balance. And I don't agree with everything Powell does for sure. But he does try to maintain balance, I would say. He does that pretty well. Okay, yields, hack. Yields are basically interest rates that you get from buying bonds. So yield is how much bonds pay out, right? 10-year treasury bill, 10-year treasury bonds are usually what people look at. Here's the 10-year yield. So if you buy a 10-year treasury bond right now that matures in 10 years, they're going to pay you 4.12% annually, okay? 4.12% annually, meaning if you invest $100,000, they're going to pay you $4,120 a year. And then at the end of that 10-year period, in what's called maturity, you're going to get your 100K back or whatever you invested. But yields and interest rates correlate. And so lower yields generally means lower interest rate sentiment. Anything that might make the Fed more aggressive in rate cuts is going to make yields go down with it, right? Generally. It's never 100%, but generally. There's always nuance to it. And this is because bond prices and yields inverse each other. And so if bonds get sold off, yields are going to go up. And if bonds get bought up, yields are going to go down. Okay? And so you can kind of make predictions and bets using yields, and you can also see where sentiment is heading based off of yields. It's not a perfect thing, but that's generally what it is. That's why we look at yields every day. That's why we look at rate cut odds, is because there is a correlation between yields and rate cut probabilities. So hope that makes sense. All right, gold now technically green on the day. It looks like it wants to hold. I'll buy a pullback in the NASDAQ. We get down to 175, maybe I'll buy it. I don't know if I want 230s here. Maybe 225 right here, but there's 225. Let's see if we bounce. I should have bought 225, I guess. Let me get rid of this 230. John, why are these weird things happening in market? Don't you think gold rises when inflation goes up? Why is it pumping on low inflation? I think gold over the last 6 months has been in a good news is good news and bad news is good news for gold. You know, so gold can kind of follow macro markets a lot of the time. And so gold's probably just following macro markets, even though inflation was lower. But in periods of uncertainty, gold has been going up as well. So again, I think gold is one of those things, along with other precious metals, that's been in a good is good and bad is good scenario over the last few months, especially. So I hope that makes sense, right? Sometimes markets will be in a good is bad and bad is good. I think gold is in a good is good and bad is good for gold. Hi, I just tuned in. Can you repeat the yield and rate correlation? Yeah, yields and interest rates follow each other to a certain extent. Not perfectly, but to a certain extent, yields and interest rates follow each other. So if we get low inflation data, generally speaking, yields probably are going to come back down. They're baked into things just like other stuff in the stock market, right? The outcomes are baked into a certain extent. But for an example of this is if we get like really weak labor data showing that we should cut rates more aggressively, yields generally are going to come down. If we get super strong labor data showing less of a need to cut rates, yields are generally going to go up. Also, bond prices and bond yields inverse each other, right? So bond prices, you can look at like TLT, it's a little bit longer term. Here's bond prices. It's 8:30, 7:30. Bond prices are generally a little bit lower, but I think they're kind of unchanged here. But this means yields went up on this report, which is, again, it's a little bit different, but this is just markets getting baked into things. Yeah, so yields have gone up. Bond prices have gone down, which is kind of inverse to what people expect. But again, you got to understand a lot of these outcomes are baked in already, especially big money. All right, so we're breaking down here. Yeah, all good, Veronica. No worries. Yeah, supply and demand makes bond prices and bond yields inverse each other. And then generally long-term, short-term, again, short-term you can see yields are actually up a little bit from this report. But long-term, generally interest rate sentiment and yields follow each other. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. I'll put the link up. No PDT rule on futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule on futures. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. I appreciate it. And yeah, here's the link. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional, guys. I appreciate the love. Also, give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades. At beginner trades on x.com. You can give me a follow there. We're growing over there too. I want to buy a dip. Maybe 200s here. It looks like a dip buy potential, but yeah, if you give me a follow on x.com, we post stuff like this all the time. What are you guys getting for Christmas? No, there's a month-over-month reading. It was, what was it? Let me see. There was a month-over-month. It could, maybe they didn't post month-over-month just because of the shutdown sentiment. We didn't have inflation data from October. I think they canceled October. So because of that, there is no month-over-month reading. I think for this report, it's just year-over-year. Let me make sure. I might be wrong. Yeah, I don't even see a month-over-month reading, so I don't even think they posted one. And it makes sense because the month of October was closed. All right, guys, NASDAQ. I wanted 200. It went to 215s, 220. NASDAQ getting vault up. Bitcoin back up to 89.5s here. 89.5 is an interesting level for Bitcoin. Look at it right here. Yeah, I'm assuming the watch tool is going to be going up. Shout out to whoever posted this. Look. Shout out to this guy. Will we get a Santa rally now with this data? Let me know in chat right now. Will we get a Santa rally? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, the Steam machine, the handheld device. I don't know, man. I'm so used to controllers. If I could play Halo on one of those devices from Microsoft, I might get one of them. I'm not going to get the Steam one, though. Again, I bought my son a laptop last year. He didn't use it once. And so I'm not making that mistake again. Again, this was the biggest drop in U.S. inflation since March of this year. Again, 2.7% for headline, 2.6% for core. Yeah, I don't know what the Steam machine is. You got me Googling it, though. Oh, it's a console for Steam. All right, guys. Hey, we got 25 minutes left. We're going to day trade some of this price action. It's been a wild few days for day trading, so stick around. We are going to be day trading live today. Let's see what we get today. It's time. Yeah, I'm looking at data here, guys. So if we can take a look at rate decisions, yields are kind of volatile, but they're back and forth here on this report. They're kind of flat. Interest rate sentiment here for January has upticked to almost 29%, up to almost 29% for interest rate sentiment. Again, 29% versus 71%. So at this point in time, it's almost 30% likely that we're going to cut rates in January. And here's the thing, right? Like, we have a lot of other reports coming out that could influence these odds, right? We've got another labor report coming out in January, another CPI print before the next FOMC meeting, right? So we got a lot of stuff coming out between now and then that might guide the Fed a little bit more, especially with more accurate data, I would say. And so that's what we're looking at now. It's looking very likely that we're going to pause rates in January still. But again, this data could influence this. Nick Timmerose at the Wall Street Journal said the November CPI was much lower than expected, with core CPI up just 0.2%. Is likely to raise questions over certain adjustments. Statisticians had to make given the void in October data. Yeah, so they're basically saying this is adjusted. Again, core CPI 2.6%. That's wild. Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin break 90,000 today, guys. We did a poll. Are you bullish or bearish on this? 72% are bullish on the lower than expected inflation print. 28% are bearish. How do you feel about the market overall? I think long term is the biggest statistical edge the market brings. Like, I think bears long term lose money. If you're shorting the healthiest assets in the world, even if you're right, you got to time it right. And so I think for me, I'm a big believer in diversification, dollar cost averaging, and long-term investing. I think that is the biggest statistical edge markets give you. Day trading is incredibly difficult. Most day traders lose money. And so I think you got to take that into understanding. I think that's why I like Top Step, and Top Step's useful because it limits your risk. You can learn for less. Like when I first started day trading, I lost thousands and thousands of dollars trying to day trade. You know, I thought I was going to be rich. I was like, you know what, Carol, I'm going to take this $4,000 I've saved up and I'm going to day trade with it. Ended up losing all of it in like 3 weeks. Was super sad about it. And I think that's a very common story for most day traders. And so again, because of that, that's why I think like these prop firms are useful, because they give you a cheaper way to learn. People can criticize them or whatever, but I'd much rather spend $50 and lose than spend $5,000 and lose, you know? And so I think there's a reason, and it teaches you how to trade under pressure with risk versus letting you trade a demo account. And then, you know, I think there's just reasons for it. Carol told me not to do it. She was like, John, don't do it. In hindsight, it worked out though, because that's when I started this YouTube channel. I called it beginner trading because I didn't claim to be a good trader. I was brand new. And I wanted to give people the truth. You got a lot of people, at the time, you had a lot of people acting like they were the greatest ever. And you know they were losing money really, but they were acting like they were the greatest ever. And I wanted to be the opposite of that. And so, you know, it was justifiable long term. And now Carol appreciates the fact that I did it, but yeah. Yeah, so again, we got Nick Timmerose saying also, look at this. He said this is the recent cooling in housing inflation, rent, and OER accelerated significantly in October and November. CPI housing inflation was 1.6% annualized versus 3.8% 3 months ago. It'll show up in PCE as well. Nick Temero says this is totally inexcusable. The BLS just assumed rent/OER were zero for October. I am sure they have a good technical explanation for this, but the only way you get a 2-month average for rent of 0.06% and OER at 0.135% is assuming October was zero. There is just no world in which this was a good idea, but here we are. Assuming that's why we're getting such a big drop to the inflation rate numbers. Tanya in 2017. Hey, thank you, Tanya. John, your poll percentages are the same as CME Fed watch stats. Both of them are just the market, right? Y'all are the market. Both of them are just the market pricing things in. And so I think that actually makes sense. Again, U.S. rate futures are now pricing in 62 basis points of easing next year after CPI data. So it's somewhere in the middle between 2 and 3 25 basis point cuts next year is what 62 would be. 25 times 2 would be 50. And so that's about 12 basis points higher than 2 25 basis point cuts is what that is. NASDAQ just broke highs up here. We're at 25,268. SPY's testing highs. Bonds are pushing up and yields are falling down right now. So bond prices are moving up. Yields are falling down. Gold itself is right around the previous closing price. Nvidia is really green on the day, but red yesterday. Oracle is up. We had MU earnings yesterday evening. We're up to 260s on MU today. Bitcoin's now dipping down at 89.5s though. Bitcoin dumping. It's pulling back some. It's still net really green from the rate decision. Again, what Nick Temero said is making me a little nervous. All right, the president says the U.S. is headed for a historic economic boom. He said that about 12 hours ago. Lagarde speaking right now. No discussion today on hikes or cuts. We simply cannot offer forward guidance given the uncertainty. We'll look particularly attentive to salaries. We cannot offer forward guidance. All options should be on the table. Uncertainty hasn't changed much, may have worsened. Yeah, so Lagarde speaking right now. We have 17 minutes until the market opens. 17 minutes. John, do you play an instrument? I play drums, guitar, you know, mostly. I can play a little bit of both. I have ADHD, so like I've learned to I can play some stuff that sounds good, but I definitely wouldn't say I can like play them well. Look at Bitcoin pull back though, 88.23s. Do I listen to Dave Ramsey? Dave Ramsey seems smart. The only problem with it, like he seems like he's a smart guy. The problem that I have, and I've said this once and I'll say it again, I think everybody needs to understand what I'm about to say, especially if you're a younger person. The problem is you got to ask yourself, do you want to live good now? Or do you want to live good when you're 65? Right? Like I could save all this money and put all my eggs in that basket of like, hey, you know, let me live good when I'm 65. The problem is that I would rather live good now. And if you want to live good now, you got to take risks, right? Ramsey's all about, hey, no risks. Like, let's not take risks. Let's save all this money and live good when we're retired at 65 years old. And I get it. Like, I understand you should do that at least a little bit. You should save for retirement, 100%. The problem is that I think if you want to live good now, you got to take risks. Regardless of what you do, you got to take risks. And so I don't think the no risk way is the right way, and maybe he doesn't necessarily say that, but from what I hear, he's like, hey guys, like, look, okay, he does a lot of compounding. The problem with the compounding formula is like, okay, look, let's say you got 50K right now invested into a 10% returning index fund, right? You got 50K over 30 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That 50K is going to turn into almost 900,000 in 30 years. The problem is that number one, you're going to be 30 years older. And so you're going to be over 60 probably. You know, maybe over 50 if you're 20. You know, and that's great. And you'll have the equivalent of 900,000. The problem is because inflation happens as well, you're not going to have today's 900,000 in buying power. What you're really going to have, if we reduce this, like what? Let's say 3% average inflation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're going to have about 329,000 in today's buying power in 30 years, which is still way better than 50. But it's not like people act like, oh, you're going to make $1 million. Yeah, technically, but $1 million is not going to be the same buying power that it is today. And so I think you got to look at it from that context. And I hear a lot of people trying to teach investing and finance and all this different stuff. And I get it. And they're using these big numbers to say, hey guys, you invest 50,000 today, you're going to have this. It's not going to be the same amount of buying power that you think it is today. And so, I think calculated risks make sense. Diversification makes sense. Watching for emerging markets makes sense. And, you know, Yeah, I mean, I think buying a new car, especially if you don't have the money for it, financing a new car, most of the time it's a bad decision. You're locking yourself into long-term debt for a wildly depreciating asset. So I generally agree with that. We got Hassett speaking right now. Hassett says core inflation is only 1.6%. We've got high growth and core inflation is about where we should be. He's on an interview right now on TV. So again, Hassett is speaking again. Man, he's been speaking a lot lately. Yeah, I can't keep up with everybody in the chat. I'm trying to. Yeah, it depends on what your definition of gambling is. I've said this once, I'll say it again. I love poker, right? People always ask me, is poker gambling? Well, it depends on your odds. And the same thing with trading. I would say poker is similar to trading. There's variance for sure. If your definition of gambling is risking money, generally, a lot of stuff's a gamble. If you use that definition, just risking money without guaranteed success, a lot of different things are gambling. If your definition of gambling is risking money with unfavorable odds, then it depends on what you're doing. It depends on who you are as a trader. It depends on if you're a good poker player or not. Like, same thing. That definition matters, I think. And so it really depends on your definition. Hassett said CPI report is astonishingly good. We've got high growth. Core inflation is about where we should be. And also, just to clarify, right? Like, this doesn't even include taxes. This 50K over 30 years turning into 329,000 does not even include taxes. So it's not as much as you think it is. And I get it, but it's not as much as you think it is. All right, guys, markets are pricing pretty high ahead of the opening bell. We're still net down. Again, look at yesterday's drops. Look at yesterday's drops here. So we are down net still. Even with these rises because of low inflation, we are still net down over the last 24 hours. All right, here's gold, 43.70. No, 100% Lunar. There's a lot of fees that you're gonna have to pay to make that money too, and it's just not like I said. You want to really make money, be set. You got to take risks. I'm not telling you to take dumb risks. I'm not telling you to enter binary options. You know, what I'm saying is, like, you gotta. I always say the same thing, and I think this is actually a really optimistic way to look at it, and you know, it should give you guys some hope. They say 1 out of 6 businesses fail. Or no, they say only 1 out of every 6 businesses succeed. And people look at that like it's a negative thing. Like, oh, you're only going to succeed 1 out of every 6 businesses you try to start up. Honestly, that's fine. That means you can keep starting businesses. And eventually, once one sticks, it might pay you for the rest of your life. You know, you just got to keep trying. Most people start 1 or 2 and they give up and they never try another one. You know, you just got to keep trying different things. Most of the time, the real way to do it is to monetize what you're interested in. Because that's going to give you the perseverance to keep pushing with it, you know. And I know this from experience. So I think that's the way you have to look at it. But you got to take risks. Anyways, guys, we got 9 minutes until the opening bell starts. Yeah, Meta Planet, I don't know. I don't know much about this one. Symbol is MTPLF. It seems like an OTC. Is this OTC? Or is this a weird major exchange listed 5 symbol ticker? I don't know. I don't like this at all, bro. I don't like this at all. I'm not really a big believer. Low liquidity, I'm not buying that. I hope it goes up for you, though. It's not like I care if it... It's not like I want it to go down. I'm just not really buying it. I'm not really interested in that. Most penny stocks fail. I'm not trying to, you know, buy up penny stocks investments. Is it a good day to day trade? I really don't know. There's too much variance to tell. You know. Yes, I thought yesterday would be a boring day for Wednesday. We didn't have any economic data, right? But instead in pre-market, we just had huge news releases that just made it really whippy up and down, up and down. So it's impossible to tell. We'll see what the opening bell brings in 8 minutes. But it's impossible to tell if it's going to be a good or bad day trading. Yeah, CPI came out low, 2.6% for core inflation, 2.7% for headline. They didn't give us a month-over-month reading because the month of October was closed down. So... Alright guys, 7 minutes. See what we get. Yeah, I mean, people are different. They have different trading strategies. What's good for me might not be good for y'all day trading, so... Alright, I might buy a little bit more of Oracle here. Tad bit. A lot of rebounds in my portfolio today. Today will give us... Yeah, tomorrow's Japanese rate decision is huge. That's a big report. Yeah, like a... So a lot of people are worried that's going to tank markets and crash markets. I really don't know. But a lot of people are worried it's going to like crash markets. All right, look at Nvidia. Nvidia testing this high up here. 275 seems to be holding as a resistance level. I'm watching 250 below us. Opening bell in 5 minutes. We might have the market on open soon, so just be ready for that. That might influence things too. Bro, I've talked about Meta Planet already, Pew. I don't know anything about it, dude. We'll see there aren't many pre-markets that start this high and don't get a cold open, telling buyers settle for craps. Best day trading day the US has ever seen. All right, we're popping over 276s here. Let's see what the odds are for rates ahead of this opening bell today. Again, last time I looked at it was about 29%. Is it back down to 26? Yeah, according to this. That means the yields are probably back up a little bit, maybe. Yields are very flat as of now. Yeah, they're going to make the markets 24 hours. These are, I use a mix of like confirmation, psychological levels, and isolations to make these levels in the chart. They're pretty simple levels, to be honest, but they work. Simplicity sometimes works better than complex numbers and stuff. Kind of, I use confluence. Like I look at a lot of different things. Nasdaq just broke highs again today, chat. All right, guys, the opening bell's almost here. We got 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, really. Oof. All right, let's see what we get. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Matt is rebounding back up too. Looks good. All right, here we go, guys. A minute and a half left. Minute and a half. Pull it back after breaking highs. Big retracement back down here. I'm watching Nvidia. I'm watching Oracle at the open. We've been day trading some stocks at the opening bell too. We'll see what that looks like. But opening bell's here in less than a minute, chat. Less than a minute. Hey, good luck. Yeah. We'll see what we get today. I'm gonna wait 5 minutes until the market plays out a little bit more to day trade this today. I think I gotta wait a little bit of time here before I attack all this stuff. There's the opening bell here, guys. Let's see what we get. If it was delayed, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We appreciate it. All right, guys. So NASDAQ kind of choppy so far today. Buy heading up. Nvidia struggling. Meta's pushing higher here. NASDAQ ripping higher here, reclaiming some of that big drop we put in yesterday here. This is a big move for that first candle after the opening bell. Nvidia starting to creep up too. Getting close. Watching 325s above us here. See if we hold. We're pushing up strong right now, though. Look at this. Again, we are 1 minute into the day. I got to wait until about 4 minutes to trade, so stick around. We will be trading. I just got to wait a little bit of time. Starting to push. All right, guys. So rip it up here. I don't know what to do with this. I almost want to short right here, but we're too close to the bell for me to do it. Gonna short it. I say this at least once a day. I'm like, hey, I think I should long here, and then it rips up big, and I don't take it. And I'm like, hey, I think we should short right here, and then it drops down really quickly. Again, it's too small of moves though, and it's too close to the bell. There's the volatility. Could buy 300 here maybe. All right, here's 300. A little bit too fast of a drop for me, I think. I don't know why I just took this. Let's try it. We're up so much, though. It's a risk. I'll add to it. What could go wrong? Pretty small, though. Now we gotta start loop size. I'm gonna put a different one up here. I could have probably held that. Wait, this. Big drops at the opening bell, kind of clearing some of this bull case we did from the inflation data coming out lower than expected. Let's see if 75 holds it up. Definitely some weakness showing up. Let's see if 75 holds it up, though. Does this get balled up here, Chad? Is the question. Make sure. Got a little bit of a rebound. Let's see if he gets balled up now. All right, look at Oracle, though, guys. We did buy a little bit more in Oracle earlier. See if that holds now. And there's 250 holding it up. Got really balled up here. NVIDIA looks like it's bouncing a little bit of the 200 exponential. Let's see if that level holds too. Meta's bouncing too. All right, so we dropped a lot. Now we're getting balled up quickly here. Flushing all the way back down here. Retracing this. Maybe the Japanese rate decision getting baked into markets right now. Deep red at the opening bell, though, here. All right, so we got some drops at the opening bell. We're starting to rebound back up some here. See if the bulls show up now. The bears. What are we, 7 minutes into the day? I don't know who's in control of this right now. Which way you guys think we go, bull or bear from here? I'm waiting here in my main account. A little whippy after the bell though here. Kind of maybe some uncertainty here of what's going on. Nvidia has dropped down to 173s here too, so let's see if it gets like ripped back up or what happens here with Nvidia. I think Nvidia matters a lot to this market right now. Oracle does as well, although Oracle's mostly green. Getting swung the other way. Look at this drop. Definitely a little sketchy of a day here. Still dropping. Look at Nvidia turn to the bottom here. See if it gets bought up. Chipotle Meta doing good. What a volatile open here, guys. I don't know what to do with this. I kind of want to buy it now, but I'm gonna start small here if I do. Here, look, I'll put this up. Like, we're gonna start small and buy this one contract. Maybe add a little bit to this here, but oh, we're definitely down here. Again, is this the Japanese rate hike decision getting baked in? I'm gonna cut this too. Yikes, give it back all the gains. I'm wondering if it's because they calculated it at 0. Google, VC, Armbex, Lovable. Let me see if there's any news. Blackstone said to be in talks with FinTech Revolut over a potential partnership. Scary open, dude. Look at this, we've dropped outside of this range. All right, so we're still dropping very quickly here. Look at this. Wonder if there's any news related to this here. We're close enough to the 200 exponential where I want to see if we can hold this, but I'm not really confident. It's a scary drop. Again, I'm wondering if the Japanese rate decision is getting baked into the markets right now, potentially. That could be what this is. Music stopped. We did get bought up right around that 200 EMA. All right, guys, so we're starting to dip down here. I'll show you guys some of these other trades I'm taking here. We're in this. We already green on this account though, so like might add down to the 200 exponential and take a larger risk. We're already green a couple $100. Let's see if we pop up here. There we go. All right, we're gonna take some of that off. Take some of that off. We add some back here, see if we keep going higher. There we go. Take a little bit more off up there on the spike. At the rest break even right there. Yeah, we got over $300 on this account. We're down on some of our other accounts though. Hey, thank you for the donation. Good CPI is bad for tech, less rate cut. Hence means less free money liquidity for the Oracle. Yeah, and while I understand that, NMCT, lower inflation would mean a higher chance of a rate cut, not a lower chance of a rate cut. Lower inflation means the Federal Reserve has more of a green light to cut rates versus high inflation where cutting rates might be more stimulative and make inflation worse, right? So high inflation means less reason to cut rates, right? More reason to not cut rates and keep rates restrictive. Low inflation, good CPI means we have more of a green light to cut rates because inflation is under control, right? In order to cut rates justifiably, you need inflation to be under control. That's what it really is. So you got it backwards. Yeah, we got the Bank of Japan rate decision today. All right, guys. So yeah, tonight we have the Bank of Japan rate decision here. All right, I'm trying to day trade. I'm trying to get tomorrow's stream set up. No, it's not down for me. Yeah. Oh, we also have triple witching tomorrow as well. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff happening, to be honest. Yeah, tomorrow's triple witching. All 4 major contract types expire. So, yeah, tomorrow's triple witching. I don't know what to do with this. I kind of want to buy it, but I also think it's risky to buy it. We'll go to a different account if we can. But we'll buy this again. We'll try. There we go. We got a big pop up really, really quickly. Look at that pop up. To cut it right here if I can. We're out. Big movement up here. I don't think we have anything at 10 o'clock. Let me make sure. Yeah, we had CPI year over year. Didn't get a month over month reading. Nothing at 10 o'clock today. I mean, we're still down. We're still down over the last 24 hours is what it is. Alright, we are pulling back now some. But I want to buy this now. I don't think so. That's a big candle. Bitcoin down to 88,000 here. It got up to almost 89.5, almost 90, but it rejected it at 89.5 here. How you guys doing today? Y'all red or green so far today? Again, I don't know what to do with this. This drop is too steep. Look at this drop. Again, the yen carry dynamic might make things a little bit more interesting today. Or tomorrow, I mean. I'm going to short this. I'm going to pivot to a short bias strategy on this account. We're green on the day already. I just want to see if we break down under the 200 exponential here. We did get low inflation, but I think we're also up a lot, and the market is still worried about the yen carry dynamic here. But it's been hard to make money today, I think. Big moves on the upside and downside here. Yeah, I got to cut this too. The range is large as well. Christmas is canceled. When we get a Santa rally here, guys? I don't know. We're right at the 200 EMA. Look at this 175 level. Yeah, the 200 exponential works well. I like it a lot. Should wait for it more, but I already took a long trade on the 200 exponential. I'm going to try shorting this again, but it's risky. Kind of been sideways for the last like 20 minutes or so here. So, yeah. I just keep getting top ticked. Maybe I shouldn't try to short the 200 EMA. Let me start rebounding back up. Yeah, we're kind of sideways right now. Yeah, maybe we'll get some data releases at 10 o'clock that moves things. Nvidia's trying to climb back up, so is some other stuff. VWAP holding NASDAQ. Yeah, I mean, I think the 200 exponential is bouncing it right here. Like, if you look at this 200 EMA, it held strong, and now we're kind of retracing some of the losses that we did at the open. Look at this big rebound back up. Let's see if Nvidia and everything else holds. Oracle's still doing okay. I'm very green in my stocks today, believe it or not. Just not the most optimistic. I'm not the most confident. I think markets could be waiting for the yen carry stuff to unwind. Maybe I'll buy. I think Nvidia's down a lot. We got good inflation data. Maybe I'll buy Nvidia right here. I just bought a little bit of Nvidia. Maybe I'll add a little bit more to it. I'll show you the trades. I've been making money on Nvidia day trading last few days. I'll add a little bit more here. Try to take a longer term Nvidia day trade. I need much more size than this though. All right, I'm gonna add on this. There we go. Green is good. All right, so now we got a nice cushion. We can maybe add some more to this. Here's Nvidia. Looks like it wants to come back down. Add a little tad bit more here. Gotta add some down here to Nvidia. I want to do about 100 shares. We'll add on this dip. There we go. We got about 100. Still pretty small trade, but let's see if we get a pop. There we go. Maybe I could add some in futures too. I'm not going to add any more to it, I think. I'm just going to let this work, see if we bounce. All right, we're back green. Let's see if we go more green now. It looks like markets want to come back higher here, but remember, we're already up a lot from the inflation print. So I think you got to take some of these moves with the understanding of, like, we pushed up a lot on lower than expected inflation. And I think people might still be skeptical with the carry dynamic unwinding a little bit, potentially tonight, from the Bank of Japan rate decision. I'm not going to add any to this. I'm going to see if we bounce at the 200 exponential VWAP level. If we don't, we're just kind of faking me out left and right. So, is he rescheduling it? I don't know. I heard rumors about it. I heard maybe Thursday, but I don't know if he actually is. A 200 exponential on Nvidia here. Look at that bounce right there. I don't think it's going to be today. I hope he does reschedule again. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Look, there's no need to keep it schedule 1 is ridiculous for it. Like, no medical use. I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's hypocritical and contradictory to what other standards are. Today's not Thursday. Today is... Oh, today is Thursday, dude. I'm stupid, man. I don't know why I was thinking today's Wednesday. You were right. I am wrong. Today is Thursday. I thought today was Wednesday. I don't know why. Alright, there is NVIDIA rising. I'm green on my position now. I'm gonna take a little piece off right here because we're green. Let me get a little bit more up here. I'll take another piece off. That's half off there on NVIDIA. There we go. Take another little piece off here. Yeah. Holiday season making things weird, yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna get out right here. It's too sideways. We made money on the trade. Not worth the risk of still holding it. Bro, bring single stock futures back, dude. I'd trade NVIDIA all day. Yeah, again, a lot of people are flying and moving and traveling today. Christmas is in a week from now, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm watching markets here. A little bit quiet of a day, but that's all right. Look at Chipotle bounce back. NVIDIA's still making a push. I probably could have held it. Still trying to push up. Could have maybe held NVIDIA a little bit longer, but that's all right. Yeah, Meta's still pushing up to 664s. Also, Broadcom. I think Broadcom has been on some big swings. They had their earnings a few days ago. They're down a lot since the opening. About 336 at the open. They're down to 328s. No, options and futures are different. Futures is more day trading meant. Options are just different. Yeah, the Japanese rate decision later on tonight is going to be interesting for sure. We'll see what that looks like. Nasdaq still, it's rebounded some. It's still trying. It's rebounded some. But again, it's still trying. We are dipping down a little bit. I'm curious to see if I can buy this. Yeah, again, if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Very similar to day trading stocks. Just a great way to learn when most day traders lose money. I'll put the link up. They are a sponsor of mine. I am biased because I get paid by them. Here's the link. Check it out. Again, they're sponsored mine. I am biased. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I don't even claim to be a good trader, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Make your own assessment. Trade smart, guys. Can't guarantee anything. Look at AVGO just dump down here. So AVGO's dropping big right now too. Hold on, let me mute the music for a second. All right, guys, AVGO just went red on the day. NVIDIA broke down under the VWAP 200 exponential as well. Bitcoin's still at 88.2s. A little bit more quiet right now. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. No, there's no rate cut today. Rate cuts are every 6 weeks. And so the last one we got was a couple weeks ago. And so we don't have a rate cut today. Last one we got was a week and a day ago on Wednesday last week is the last rate decision. So yeah, we don't have that today. Today we had inflation data come out. And I think next week's pretty light too, just with everything going on. Let me put it in all chat. I can't see the, sometimes I accidentally select top chat instead of all chat, so it doesn't show me. Oh yeah, the Bank of England cut rates. Or no, was it England or was it Europe that cut rates or that paused rates today? Bank of England. Yeah, ECB, European Central Bank, did not cut rates. They paused, I'm pretty sure. The rate decisions every 6 weeks. Yeah, maybe it was England. I'll have to look. Yeah, the Bank of England did cut rates today. They dropped it from 4 down to 3.75% for their rates. And so that's what happened. The Bank of England did cut rates. European banks did not cut back. European Central Bank did not. They paused. England cut. Yeah, well, look, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, I'm going to cut out. I appreciate the love. Again, we got the Japanese rate decision tonight. We'll see how that affects the market tomorrow. We also have triple witching day tomorrow, so just be ready. I'll see you guys then. Y'all be good. Have a great day. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Again, not an investment professional. I'm red on the day for sure, net. But that's okay. That's how it goes sometimes. Y'all be good. Again, as soon as I close the stream, it'll bring you to tomorrow's stream. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate the love. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all be good.